Well, it's later at night now, and I heard some explosions down here, and I'm not really sure what's going on. I hope he doesn't burn down his shed that he lives in. So this is day 2. There was a fire, as you saw.
Yeah, they're going to tear down my building. I'll probably have to. I got my TV, my personal possessions.
All right, you want some help?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you a hand over. No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where did she go?
Moving stuff out of there and taking it someplace else. But
Okay.
it's racing at a time to get out stuff.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
There was a fire. I don't know what.
So much of
Yeah, I know.
Sure, my guys, I'll throw it away if you want to keep
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Can't be here all the
How'd the fire start?
He said it's fine.
I didn't write it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I think
The way
he's.
it is, it's his building.
Okay. Well, huh?
Maybe you'll finally get a new neighbor.
Oh, I'm okay with Ted.
He's really nice on the environment. See this camp here?
Yeah.
All the pollution flows into the creek. You don't know anything about environment, do you?
Huh?
Do you know anything about the environment?
Yeah, I've been
Pollution?
living here my whole life.
Well, that doesn't mean shit.
I'm glad.
All this pollution,
Uh-huh.
water, all that feces and shit going down in Burford Creek.
You talking
That's
about
like
this
Vancouver.
property here?
Huh?
This property here or this property here?
Right there.
That's not his property.
There's a camp there.
Oh, there's a camp there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All this pollution goes down in Burford Creek.
Ah.
What's happening in Lake Vancouver? Closed. Feces, garbage.
Yeah.
Get on board, buddy.
So this is day 3, and it'll probably be the day that everything is cleared off completely. Yeah.
Those are airless sprayer cores that cost like $50 a piece.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of things I can't say.
Good morning.
Good morning. What are you doing? Are you busy?
Oh, I'm over with my neighbor. They just like bulldozed his house. So
Oh,
it's interesting, yeah. But he's getting through it. I'm glad that didn't explode. So, but did you want to go over and see Hank?
Well, I
What time?
thought I'd go over around noon.
Around noon? Okay, I'd like to go over with you.
Okay. That's why I'm calling, because she said you're ready to go, and I thought, well, if we leave at noon, we'll probably be able to visit and get back before the traffic gets too bad.
That sounds like a good idea. All right. Why don't I pick you up at about 1:45?
Okay, that'd be great.
All right, I'll do that.
See you then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Mom. All right. Careful, Ted. But
body,
no,
like body.
I assume I'm recorded all the time.
so what were you saying?
What was that? Oh, we were just discussing the possibility of developing this with Jackie.
Teddy's always maintained that he would like to build tiny homes here,
Right.
so that folks with lower incomes or no incomes could live here. And
Right.
actually, the city's entertained that with other groups as well.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the issue, and we were just discussing that here before, was the city has always maintained that they couldn't approve of a development on his property until the existing code violations that have been going on for a while were rectified.
Okay.
You know, health, safety, public welfare kind of stuff. They had to be rectified. So, in essence, what I was telling him is as painful as it is for him to go through this abatement process to get rid of the nuisances on the property, it does create a clean slate for him, which removes those arguments from the city about code violations on his property, preventing or hanging him up from future development of tiny homes.
You talked to Habitat for Humanity about that.
Yeah, there was a proposal a while back, but they backed out because, and even though all things can be a variance granted, but the state transportation department didn't like the fact that this road wasn't wide enough for two cars to pass by it. But the remedy, of course, the remedy, of course, is they get, what do you call that?
You'd have to
in
take
the
out the
domain,
street.
and they take a little here, take a little there, and widen the road. But the other problem is that the inherent thing underneath the building department is an attempt by the city to get the developers and everyone else to pay for the cost of all of these rules and regulations. So they wouldn't approve it until I put sidewalk curves, widen the road all the way to Cherry Street, which would have been $400,000.
Crazy.
And that's what put it out. But if the city wanted it, like I say, they do every day. They have those kind of situations. The city gets a variance, the contractor builds, and everybody gets what they want. But they have to want to or be willing to work with it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that there's been some real interest here because it wasn't just Habitat for Humanity. The Veterans Tiny Home Village people were interested, as well as a group called Community Roots Collaborative, and that group is actually moving forward with the development here in the
Okay.
city. They, at the time, couldn't see past the issues here that they would have had to clean up too.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of what he was doing was actually providing activities for people who were here. There were people that he had living here were repairing bikes and doing different kinds of things.
Difference
And-
of opinion about the legality with regards to the health and welfare safety codes,
Right.
and what was actually happening.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. That the I can't speak to the settlement because it's between him and the city and the court. I'm not party
Right.
to it. But essentially, the Reader's Digest version is, as of today, once the nuisance, according to the court, is abated, then it's a clean slate. So moving
Okay.
forward, those arguments won't really exist anymore. He can approach. In fact, he mentioned Jackie
And-
St. Louis, who's the homeless resource coordinator for the city. Anyhow, he's talking with him. Jackie would be a wonderful person that could help Teddy navigate through the city rules with regards to buildings, exemptions, anything else, in order to get something like that up and off the ground here. And the nice thing is the city has never, to date, I mean, I can't talk to the future in a crystal ball, but to date, they've never disputed Teddy's ownership of the property or his right to do what he wants on his property, short of getting permits for buildings or dwellings where people are going to live, and that kind of stuff. So it hasn't been a push come to shove over, kicking him to the curb or taking his property away from him, that kind of thing. So, again, work with them, and I'd like to personally, I can't speak for the whole city, but I'd like to continue to work with him, because if ultimately it leads to his dream, which is to help folks, the city would also like to see people off the street.
And,
No, I mean, the city's well aware. Jackie St. Louis was just hired in August after a couple of years of realizing that the problem in Vancouver with regards to homelessness was not just going away on its own, and no other single entity was stepping up to take the lead. Every entity was like, hey, we're doing our piece. But even when you took the collective whole of all the social services and governmental services and everything in our area, the number of people who are expressing a need for services was overwhelming.
Yes.
And so no person was willing to step up, because it's like, we can't support all the people already. How could we take the lead? So the city finally got to the point where it was like, you know what, I think we can't necessarily solve the problem, but we can certainly manage it differently. And Jackie comes with a wealth of experience from doing the same sort of thing in the Seattle area. Some wonderful foundational philosophical ideas, but as well as, now he has the resources of the city behind him. He doesn't have a magic wand. It's not like homelessness is going to go away. That's why working with people like Mr. Pyle, who has a piece of property that's willing to do this, because I'll tell you,
He's pretty motivated.
I don't know anybody else personally. Professionally, I don't know anybody else in this city, whether it's churches, whether it's city pieces of property, and some of that's because of regulation, some of it's because of location, some of it's because of constitutional rights. We can't segregate and ship people out to the middle of nowhere and all that stuff. But I don't know anybody else personally that has private property like Mr. Pyle does that wants to facilitate that kind of.
Well, there was
housing.
one example. The Church of the Nazarene had 3.5 acres up there on Mill Plain. They were willing to develop.
They considered it. I don't think they backed out because they didn't want to do it.
I think the neighborhood gave
The
him
neighborhood
trouble.
gave them a bunch of hassle, and then that became the
right.
And I had, just walking over here, I had a neighbor who was very, very angry. He blamed you for somebody living in the bushes over there. He went into that. I don't know if he damaged the people's stuff that was there.
Is that Mr. Brocci?
I don't know who it was, but he was just here where he had his camera and he said some angry things to me, and
You didn't agree with him, so it pissed him off.
well, he just was angry, and I don't know who he was. Anyway, well, I appreciate your
I was a little concerned yesterday with the number of people who were coming on to Mr. Pyle's property, because the government or myself, the police are here.
Well, that's why I called to get permission.
Right, you're a friend, right? You have permission.
Well, he came over and told me what was happening.
Right. But not everybody. When the fire was here yesterday, not everybody had your express permission. They were just showing up and standing, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And they're like, "Oh, I live over there." And I'm like, "Well, did you ask Mr. Pyle if you can be here?"
Yeah.
Like, you don't have my permission. I'm just
Well, it's called trespassing, right?
Right. There's state rules, and then there's city rules for the impact of the neighborhood to keep the numbers down. That's why you can't have like 17 llama. You got one llama, you might have 2 llama, but you can't have 17 llama, because if you get 17, you attract bugs and odor and everything else. And, if you want 17 llama, you got to go further out in the county on some farmland.
Okay, well, it's all understandable.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
So what you're going to do, have you had breakfast?
No.
You want to go get some breakfast?
Sure. Did you walk across the field? Or?
I did, but would you like to get some?
They're vague, they're ambiguous, and they can, as written, they can be draconian. And of course, they just said, well, we won't use it. This is an absolute example of the yes, they will.
Yeah.
You give them the power to tear people's house down over parking, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
A public, how can they characterize that as a public nuisance?
Well, they got their rules.
Yeah.
They got their power.